Hello, today I'm going to unbox and taking a look at the Gigabyte B650M AORUS Elite AXICE, which is currently on sale for around about £220. So let's get it unboxed and take a closer look at it. So this is everything that comes in the box with the motherboard. So we've got some paperwork including our installation guide. We've got the antenna for our Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3, and great to see it's in white, matching the theme of the motherboard. And we've got two SATA data cables, one has a right angle connector and one has a straight connector. Taking a closer look at our motherboard, starting at the bottom, working from left to right. First of all, we've got a HD audio header, followed by a serial port header. Next to that, we've got a trusted platform module header, followed by a system fan header. We've then got a 4-pin 12-volt RGB header, followed by a 3-pin 5-volt ARGB header. In the middle of the motherboard, we've got two USB 2.0 headers, followed by a Thunderbolt add-in card header. Next to that, we've got another two system fan headers, and at the bottom right-hand side of the motherboard, we've got our system panel header. This is where you're going to plug in your front panel connectors, and as well as this, we've also got a chassis intrusion, power LED, and speaker headers. And just above this, we've got our clear CMOS jumper. Working up the right hand side of the motherboard, first of all we've got a right angled USB 3.2 Gen 1 header, and just above this we've got four SATA ports. We've then got a USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 front panel Type C connector, which can support speeds up to 20 gigabits per second. We've then got a reset switch and jumper just behind it, and you can use this to turn your PC on and off, although its function can be reprogrammed in the BIOS. Just above this, we've got a system fan stroke pump header, giving us a total of four system fan headers on the motherboard. Next to this, we've got our 24-pin power connector, and at the top of the motherboard, we've got another three RGB headers. Two of these are 4-pin 12-volt headers, with the one closest to the middle of the motherboard being labelled as our CPU LED header, giving us a total of three 4-pin 12-volt headers on the motherboard, while the top one is our motherboard's second 3-pin 5-volt ARGB header. Working along the top of the motherboard, we've got our CPU fan and CPU opt headers, while at the top left of the motherboard, we've got a single 8-pin EPS power connector to provide additional power to your CPU. The motherboard features a 12+2+2 twin digital VRM design, and it's great to see we've got really beefy heat sinks over the VRM connected with a heat pipe. In the middle of the motherboard, we've got our M5 socket and standard mounting brackets, and the motherboard is compatible with both Ryzen 7000 and 8000 processors. We've got four RAM slots, and the motherboard is compatible with up to a maximum of 192 gigabytes of DDR5 at up to 8000 megatransfers per second overclocked. We've got 2x16 size PCIe slots, and it's great to see that the top one is reinforced. It's a Gen 4 slot, and it will run in x16 mode with the PCIe lanes coming from the CPU. The bottom slot will run in x4 mode with the PCIe lanes coming from the chipset. It's nice to see that the clip for opening the top slot is slightly elevated, which should make removing your graphics card a little bit easier. The motherboard has two M.2 SSD slots. I'll go ahead and remove the heatsink to give you a closer look at things. So our top slot is a Gen 5x4 slot, while the bottom one is a Gen 4x4 slot, and the PCIe lanes for both our M.2 slots come directly from the CPU. And it's great to see the motherboard features Easy Latch Plus clips, which is definitely one of the easiest ways to install and remove your M.2 SSD drives. Taking a look at our motherboard's rear I/O, at the top we've got a Q flash button, which you're going to use if you need to flash your motherboard's BIOS. Just below that we've got the antenna points for our Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. Below that we've got four USB 2.0 headers, followed by a HDMI 2.1 and DisplayPort 1.4 headers. We've then got a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port, which can support speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. And then we've got five USB 3.2 Gen 1 headers. Below this, we've got two USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, and these can both support speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. You'll notice that one of them has BIOS written above it, and this is the one you're going to plug your USB stick into if you want to flash your motherboard's BIOS. Beside these, we've got a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. And then at the bottom of the motherboard, we've got our audio connectors, and the motherboard does support 7.1 channel surround sound. So I do think this is an absolutely gorgeous motherboard, and in terms of B650 motherboards, this is definitely towards the higher end. So if you want to go with a MICRO-ATX build, this motherboard has definitely got you covered both in terms of looks and performance. You're not going to have to wait too long to see it on the channel. I'm planning a white build for tomorrow. So if you have enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching.